Today on Geeks First, we surgical extraction, because stonks. Welcome back to Geeks First, where we talk about all things TCGs. I'm your host, Jacob. Finally, players can rejoice, for you can have your cake and eat it too. On March 10th, 2023, Legend Story Studios released their latest article discussing the current scarcity of surgical extraction in regards to what players and collectors saw as a Majestic whose value was leaps and bounds beyond the rest of the packs in Dynasty. Shortly after the release of Dynasty, a few keen-eyed folks saw that the quantity and frequency of surgical extraction was well below the rest of other Majestics in the set. First thought to be on purpose, and later LSS posted in the collector gallery. Unintentionally short printed due to a card number change with regicide during production, features 50% less often than other Majestics. To date, including pre-release pricing, the lowest price I could track down was on 11/10/2022 at $15 a copy. Now note that was pre-order, but a more reasonable cost was about $40 for the remainder of 2022. By mid-January, that price had jumped to the 50s, and as of the release of this article, surgical extraction is approaching $60 to $70 a copy. Today's article goes into explaining how this happened and what LSS' plan is to rectify this. Now, to understand the key reasons stated in this article, you first must have a basic grasp of the keyword legendary and how it functions within the game of Flesh and Blood. Legendary is a keyword that limits the copies of a card from CC from a max of 3 or in Blitz from a max of 2 down to a limit of 1, allowing these cards to have a much more impact on the game in game effects, but also being balanced because, at least in theory, the use of the word legendary in the keyword restricts the card's use during the game, meaning you shouldn't hit it as often. The following is a direct quote from the article. We know how excited you are to sleeve up Azuri and her fellow assassins with the release of Outsiders, and that there are some concerns around the availability of surgical extraction, a desirable card for these decks. Firstly, some background on the surgical extraction is quite hard to find and relatively to normal Majestics. During the production process for Dynasty, an issue occurred with the number and the file and resulted in surgical extraction and regicide switching places within the file. Regicide was intended to be short printed due to the fact that it was with the legendary keyword. You can only have one copy of it in your deck, therefore players in general need to own less of them. This is our normal practice for print frequency of Majestic cards with the word legendary keyword, such as the legendary pulses from Tales of Aria, legendary dragons from Uprising, legendary traps from Outsiders, and Gorgarian Tomb in the Crucible of War. The consequences of this production issue is that regicide appears twice as frequently as intended and surgical extraction half as frequently as intended. This frequency issue was unintentional and was not discovered until after the release of Dynasty, by which it was too late to get a reprint of surgical extraction into Outsiders. We want to let you know that surgical extraction is included in Dusk Till Dawn. That's the next set, by the way. At a frequency at which, combined with the frequency in Dynasty, will aggregate equal to the intended frequency of this card. In other words, the Dynasty short print plus the Dusk Till Dawn short print equals the total number of surgical extractions that were intended to exist. The reprint of surgical extraction in Dusk Till Dawn will be identical to its original printing, including the code card DYN122. It will be available only in non-foil in Dusk Till Dawn. Now for some spicy thoughts. The following are my personal thoughts and opinions. First off, this is exciting for a number of reasons. I can't tell you how much this means for the game of Flesh and Blood going forward. This kind of sets a precedent. While it may not be seen as often, this lays the foundation to some framework that lets us know that LSS is paying attention to the secondary market. Firstly, it shows a commitment to the player base and collectors, as it helps get the card into players' hands but also keeping the premium of the foil that was originally inside Dynasty up. Secondly, the fact is that the card will be identical, aka it's not a DTD122 versus a DYN122. This means that there's not a chase or trying to get an alternative version. This is a super smart idea, and I commend them for doing this. Lastly, it shows that there is a yin-yang nature with the relationship of the collector and the player, acknowledging that they both need to exist in some harmony. At least, that is in theory. Now, to wrap up, like usual, lately buyouts have continued in the game of Flesh and Blood. Whether they're good or bad, you have an opinion or not, that's to be decided. But as far as surgical extraction is concerned, it's no stranger to this, and as of early 3/6/2023, just 4 days ago, a rainbow foil surgical extraction was on average $90 to $100 US. Today, however, it's only 3 listings left, and they are sitting around $150 to $200 US. So the price still remains at the current mid-60s as of the filming of this video, and until the next set, Dusk Till Dawn, releases, which might happen to be mid-year, I am not sure how this is going to help push the card price back down to a more manageable price point, such as the 30s or 40s. Or will the market reject this because players had bought in at a higher price point and they don't want their investment to go down, or even a player to have their card drop in price? This is going to be indeed a unique situation in which we have to watch, and we will want to do a follow-up on this, especially once Dusk Till Dawn settles and is out. Because Dusk Till Dawn is a supplemental set, and that I'm aware of, not draftable, that means that, in theory, it shouldn't affect the drafting capability of that set. Although I could be wrong, and Dusk Till Dawn might be a draftable set, but if I remembered right, the first time during that release, it was 10-card booster packs, meaning that it was a supplemental set, so I don't think there's going to be a draft conundrum. Error 404 not found. Until next time, may your games be fun and your friendships grow. Cheers. I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited. Cat jumped over the window. Phantom power was shut off because of the cats. The cats got on the thing and the phantom power got shut off, so my microphone was dead and I couldn't get it. So the last 2 takes I did it nothing. Ah! Today on Geeks First, we surgical extraction. Wrong camera. Fuck.